406, hope you're doing well. It's the Joel Natale Show. We're live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio. Also live on Facebook and on YouTube. And we're dealing with a bit of Olympic fever here. And excited to welcome back from the French Creek Curling Club, Chris Rosato. Good to see you, Chris.
Always good to see you.
Fantastic. Again, you wear a couple hats when you come on this show.
Yeah, I've got a different one on today.
You got your French Creek Curling Club hat on. Usually you're wearing your Ascend Erie climbing gym hat. And it's so funny because it's like either you're climbing up a rock or you're throwing a rock. What's the verb?
Throwing, delivering, either of those work. Yeah, I've found that people who like niche sports like all the niche sports. So,
right.
So,
yes. Yeah. In the summer, we want you to come and talk about badminton or something like that.
There we go. Yeah,
perfect. What is that? The Timothy Chalamet movies, the ping pong movie now?
Yeah, ping pong, that's
I need to
big,
go see that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, my gosh. All right. So we mentioned Olympic fever. Yeah. The Milan Olympics, we're in an era now. When I was growing up, you had one channel, and back then it was like ABC, and, they would move or, tape delay all of the major games, right? In fact, the U.S. men's hockey team won the medal earlier in the day. They had to keep it quiet so they could play the game during prime time in 1980, right? Now it's like on your phone, instant. We were able to report the women's hockey gold win yesterday, literally within seconds after it happened.
Yeah.
What's your experience with the Olympics right now? How are you consuming it, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting that it's so accessible on Peacock. You can watch multiple different sports, multiple camera views. I mean, the hockey game, like you could watch the broadcast view, or you could watch a view that included the benches, which was exciting. And at least in the Ascend world, most of us were watching the game while on meetings and handling our business. Right. But we all kind of knew we were doing it, so it was okay.
Right.
But curling's the same way, and there were some big semifinal curling matchups that happened yesterday, and they happen all throughout the day. But you can watch them live or watch them back later. And back in the day, how I was introduced to curling was, you're right. I mean, it was kind of going on all the time, but it was across these different channels. And this was a time in sort of like the cable world where every network had like 4 different channels.
Yeah, like USA has it, and the CNBC would have stuff like that. Right.
And my dad would record, on the VCR. Like he would record all of these different sports, and we would just watch them for weeks, like Olympics coverage for me was never in the moment live. I was never caught up live. We just enjoyed it as it went along. And that was how we started watching curling. It was just one of the things he had recorded. And then we would watch it together, and we were so enraptured by it. Like just this game that's so exciting, but yet so calm and so friendly, but so serious. Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, I feel like curling was one of the original Winter Olympic sports. I'm not sure it was on the very first year that they had the Winter Olympics, but it was soon after, like in the 1920s or 30s,
Sure,
And where did it start again? Does it come from Europe? Does it come from Canada? Where did it start?
Scotland. Scotland is kind of considered the birth of curling. And then, obviously popularized in those kind of, in the Nordic countries, brought over to Canada, and Canada loves their ice sports. So they became kind of a world force in the sport.
Back then, did they just just push, ragged rocks across the ice and see if they could hit a bullseye?
Yeah, it used to be played like on frozen lakes, right?
Okay, yeah.
And you'd get these hunks of granite, and you would try to whittle them down to relatively regular sizes.
Okay.
And they would just toss them down the ice into areas they had designated, and it became more and more regular as you go along. And now there's like two real sources of curling stone granite in the world. They all come from one of two like crags, basically. And so that's kind of where we've come from. Like all traditional curling stones have come from one of those two quarries.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, obviously the technology has gotten better. I mean, it used to be that you had to have your own stones. And nowadays you don't. And in fact, getting started in a curling club, every club in existence has their own stones. You don't need your own stones, and you don't really need any equipment to try it out.
Right.
You can show up in your own cleanest rubber-soled shoes you got, because in curling, every millisecond, every inch of ice matters, and getting it as clean as possible is the goal.
I'm surprised it's rubber sole.
Yeah, rubber sole. Anything that'll provide some traction.
So you need the traction, you don't need the slipperiness.
So you do slide, but when you're first starting out, clubs will have basically a foot-shaped slider that's Teflon on one side and rubber on the other, and you step on that, and then that will allow you to slide. Oh. And then you can get off of it, because as you can imagine, it's not stable. And so for newer people, you don't want to just have that permanently on your feet. Experienced curlers, and the ones you see on TV, they wear special curling shoes where one of their shoes is just normal rubber soled. The other shoe has that Teflon slider built in and then has a rubber cover on it. So they can convert between having two shoes that grip and one that slides based on what they need. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And let me understand the basics here.
Yeah. What is curling?
Again, you're going to be watching, and let's do a pitch for your watch party here.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the French Creek Curling Club, we are doing a watch party tomorrow at noon for the men's gold medal game. That game starts at 1:00, but we're going to start at noon. And the idea of it is come join us.
Where are you having it?
That is going to be at the UPIC 6 Public House out on West Ridge Road.
Okay.
And the idea of it is come hang out with us, come watch this exciting sport that you've probably been watching all Olympics, because it's the one time every 4 years you get your fill of it.
Right.
And we'll actually tell you what's happening. We'll explain it to you, and we'll give you all the context, and we'll tell you how you can come try it yourself.
All right. So this men's gold medal round, how many players on each side?
Each team has 4 players.
Okay.
Yep.
So are they all required to toss the stone? Is it in a rotation?
Yes.
So that's why you need the different shoe surfaces, because you're going to be up there to push the stone at one point.
Yeah. A lot of times when I tell people I curl, they'll ask, like, are you the thrower or the sweeper? And the answer is you're both. You're always both. So you have.
See, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. So you have 4 people on a team. And yeah, you kind of throw in order. So on your team, you have somebody who throws first. They're called the lead. They'll throw your team's first 2 stones. And then your next player, your second, will throw the next 2, and then the third. And then the skip, which is your captain, traditionally throws the last 2. So everyone's going to throw. Now, somebody's down at the other end calling the shots. That's usually your skip. And then the other 2 players who aren't throwing, out of those other 3, they're going to be sweeping.
So I want to know the significance of the skip calling the shot. We know there's a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
Usually, usually in the mixed or in the women's is a higher pitch scream. What's the point of all that?
Yeah. If there's one thing you know about curling, it's the yelling, for sure.
Yeah.
And so curling is often called chess on ice. There's a ton of strategy that goes into it. And the skip is in charge of all that strategy. So they're the ones deciding what kind of shot to throw. It's somewhat a democratic sport between the team where they will kind of all agree. But for the most part, too many cooks in the kitchen is a bad thing. So,
yeah.
The game is in their hands. They're going to call all the shots, decide, are we taking an aggressive approach, a conservative approach? And then based on what happens with the delivery, we'll determine whether they need to sweep or not. And so that gets into what are they doing when they're sweeping, right?
Yeah.
So the stone, from the second you let it go, right, it's sort of slowing down because it's dragging on ice. There's some friction there. And the texture of curling ice is different than the texture of any other kind of ice sport, where we put little droplets, we call it pebble, all across the ice so it looks like an orange peel.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm. And so the stone is dragging across that as it goes along. Now, what you can do when you sweep is you can reduce some of that friction so that the stone isn't slowing down quite as much. So you can drag
just
it
like
a little bit
eliminating
further.
the little ridges.
Yeah, you sort of melt down
Yeah.
the topmost layer of the ice, and it just prevents it from slowing down just a little bit. What it also does is it can prevent it from curling a little bit as well. So you can hold it a little straighter and a little longer, and that's the margin of error when the deliverer delivers the stone. If they're a little bit light, they didn't throw it quite hard enough.
Yeah.
Or, they maybe missed quite the angle they were looking for. You can adjust that with the sweeping.
So yeah, the sweeper actually can steer the stone, right?
Yeah, to a degree, yeah.
Yeah, because generally you're trying to knock out your opponent. It's very much like shuffleboard that way.
Yeah.
You're knocking out the opponent from the core area so that you can go in the higher point area. All right, so I have to ask you because, and again, we're talking to Chris Rosato here from the French Creek Curling Club as we have a little Olympic fever here. What the heck happened with Canada last week? Where this was there was some major controversy.
Yeah, the boop. Yeah, I knew you were going to ask the hard hitting question.
Right, exactly. Hey, you come into the Joel and Natalia show. This is what you expect, right?
Yeah. So the long and the short of it is, I sort of I was thinking about this on the way here because I knew you were going to ask about it, and I was thinking about in football, for instance, right?
Well, are you saying his boot touched?
No.
Okay.
Boop with a P at the end. That's what they were calling it. Like he booped it.
He booped it.
Yeah.
Are you serious? That's what they're calling it?
They're calling it boop gate. Yeah. So
okay, tell me what happened.
So if you think about football, right? If you're running down the sideline and your cleat just barely touches the sideline, you're out of bounds, right?
Absolutely.
But you just barely touched it. I mean, how much of an
touches
impact?
the white,
but you have to have a rule, and it has to go somewhere, right? So in this case, Kennedy from Canada, what he did, he would let the stone go and then just give it a little touch, right? Probably just like a thing he's been doing for a while, maybe a good luck thing, whatever. Was it impacting the stone? Probably not. But if we let rules go, then like how far along the line do we get before we know?
So what is the rule, Chris?
Yeah. So the rule is basically you have to use the handle, the plastic part, to deliver the stone. And so what he was doing was he would let go of the stone and touch the granite.
And that's a no-go.
And you can't do that when you're delivering the stone. So even though it probably didn't do anything, it technically is against the rules.
I mean, there's 15 cameras.
Right.
Wouldn't he know that he booped it?
And so the biggest part, the reason
so mad.
The reason why we're even talking about it is because when he was called on it, he was very aggressive in his defense, denied it outright. The cameras clearly picked up that it happened. And he was very upset. And you can understand, you're on a world stage and your character's getting attacked. It feels like your character's getting attacked.
Yeah.
Really, all that's getting attacked is the fact that you touched the stone.
Well, and that's very interesting how you explained it, because I thought the violation was, isn't there a blue line or something like that?
Yeah.
I thought it was almost like an icing, like he was still touching it beyond the blue line. That was not the problem.
So it's a little bit of both. So,
okay.
So in curling, we have what's called the hog line. And the person delivering the stone has to let go of the stone by the hog line. And then from that point, any stone in motion can never get touched. Like you can't touch it at all. So his sort of contention was that he was allowed to touch it as long as it wasn't past the hog line. But yeah, there was the most obvious one where there was no gray area was the stone had reached the hog line and he was still touching it. And so it was like, well, now there's no question whatsoever.
So what was the judge's ruling on all that?
Well, in the moment, they didn't really do anything about it, which was kind of also spurred
dumb.
on the controversy. And then immediately after, USA Curling issued like a clarification that is against the rules. And then they set up judges to like specifically be watching for it. And they caught a lot of other players doing it, intentionally or not, because it's something that just had never really been called out before. And it caused even more fervor. So then they kind of stopped doing that. So now if the teams want, they can request a judge to come watch, but otherwise the judges aren't just glaring down the hog line the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah. It's been exciting.
So it was Canada and the U.S.? Was that the?
No, it was Canada and
Okay.
I want to say.
So you mean the Olympics put judges there?
Yes, the Olympic.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I might have said USA Curling. It was the International Curling Association.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was the most drama I ever saw in curling.
Yeah.
At least that I can remember.
Yeah. And it brought a lot of attention to the sport, which is great. But the Olympics do that as well, right? Olympics curling clubs around the country always see a huge uptick in interest when the Winter Olympics come around. Obviously, nothing compared to 2018 when our men's team won their first Olympic gold in curling, which was an exciting time, and clubs everywhere just saw a huge amount of interest.
Is this an expensive sport, especially if the clubs own the stones? Mm-hmm. What's the point of entry? Like, again, buy a pair of decent shoes and maybe are we talking about sweats here? Or?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anything you can move in that'll keep you warm.
Okay.
So think about like clothes you might wear when you're hiking. Hiking,
wow.
In the cold, right?
Yeah.
So a good
little
pair,
Under Armour or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, in the more you play, if you're sweeping a lot, you're going to be warmer anyways, so you don't need to wear as much. But yeah, I mean, having a clean pair of shoes would be great. And then we have everything else. The club has brooms. The club has that slider for you. The club has all the stones. It has everything you need to know. The most expensive part of the sport is really just the ice time. Okay. So the club has to pay, the club has all the equipment, but the club has to pay ice time for the amount of time they're on the ice. And that has to get paid somehow.
Sure.
That's the biggest expense. So for us, to come learn to curl is going to cost you $30.
Okay.
You come out, you bring your cleanest pair of shoes you got that'll give you some traction. And we've got everything else. We'll teach you everything you need to know over 2 hours. We call it experience curling. You'll learn and then you'll play all in 2 hours. And then after that, we're trying to capitalize on some of the interest that's going to be here for the Winter Olympics, that is here for the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
So we're hosting 2 experience curling events in March. And then immediately after that, a 3-week mini league specifically for newer curlers. So either those people who just attended those events or some of our newer curlers that have been in the league for 1 or 2 years to play together in a super low stakes environment, get better. Our experienced curlers are going to be there and offering instruction and advice and all that. That 3-week league is going to cost $100.
Okay.
So for, a solid, I mean, you're talking like 8 hours of ice time for $130.
Yeah.
I can't do the math that quickly, but it's like...
Where's the home rink?
Lecom Sports Park.
Okay.
Used to be known as Family First and then Erie Bank Sports Park. Now it's Lecom Sports Park.
And your Zamboni knows how to do the pebbling.
Yeah, we work really closely with the ice workers at Lecom Sports Park. We're super fortunate that they are interested in curling and want to help us out. So the best thing that they do, we just need the ice to be as level as possible.
Yeah.
And then our club members come out with a pebbling can. It's a water tank you carry on your back.
Oh my God.
And a little head that has little holes in it. And you basically sweep your hand across and the water comes out and sprinkles on to create that texture.
That's astounding.
Yeah, we have a fantastic relationship with the rink.
Wow.
And they do great for the ice, and then we do everything else.
You know a lot about the Sports Commission. Do you ever anticipate that we would have like a big, tournament for Erie for curling?
I'm so glad you asked that, Joel. First of all, the Erie Sports Commission gave us a grant last year. So we were one of the Facility Matching Funds grant winners to help us purchase the handles for our rocks because we currently we have them for about another year and then they go away. So we were able to buy our own so that we have rocks we can use for a long time now, which we need in order to host a tournament. And also to buy a nipper, which will help us creating super level ice for tournaments. So they actually helped us with a grant so we could purchase the equipment to host a tournament. And in May, on the first Saturday of May, we're going to host our first tournament.
Fantastic.
We're going to host an 8-team one-day tournament, and this is small. but it's us building up. It's our first time hosting it. We want to make sure we can do it.
And these teams are coming from where?
We've got teams interested out of Cleveland and New York right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we have about 4 committed that are all outside of Erie. We will fill whatever spots with Erie teams that we need to, but right now interest is pretty high. And this is just a small one just to welcome people in. But we do anticipate growing this tournament to a multi-day, to having a dozen plus teams.
And you have 2 rinks up there?
There's 2 curling rinks or 2 ice rinks. We just use one of them.
Right, but I mean,
we have
if
4
if
sheets on it.
If you needed to do this, you could do an 8-sheet tournament.
Yep.
I mean, this could be a thing. This could be Sarah Backstrom,
Exactly. We want to
5
grow.
years,
And we'd love to host. There's regional events, so we're part of the Grand National Curling Club, which is a regional governing body. We'd love to host a regional championship, and we will definitely work with the Erie Sports Commission to make all of those things happen, because we want to bring people in and get more people on our ice for sure.
Chris Rosato, again, from the French Creek Curling Club, the big watch party out at the Public House tomorrow at noon, and
experience curling events March 21st and 28th at Lecombe Sports Park.
So shout us out with something here. What would be something that you'd be yelling?
We just say, hurry hard, sweep,
hard,
sweep,
hard,
sweep, hard, all the way.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks so much.